We look at a teenager who suddenly wants to be consistent with what his peers are doing, and so he decides to wear locks. He decides to sag his jeans. Do we say that child is not total, even if he's academically brilliant? And do we say a child who is not given to being well-mannered, so to speak, but is academically brilliant, and he meets every other perspective of parents? Do we say that child is not a total child? Now, we could even go a step further, since we agreed that I can still be considered a child. And so when a child becomes a young adult and begins to exhibit certain things that are not the ideals we mentioned above, do we also say that child is not a total child? Forget, it's also the total toddler that becomes the total young person, becomes the total teenager, becomes the total young adult. Now, if he brings all this into marriage and he meets a wife that is not the total child, what happens to that man? Would we say we have instilled enough values in him to make him that total child, despite the fact that marriage is not really working well for him? And so we ask another question: how do we ensure that our child as a young boy remains a total teenager? How do we ensure that that teenager is a young adult? I have tried to identify 4 major factors for this, and these are the home, family, and parents as a one unit. I have said, try to also identify the environment, the society or culture as the second factor. I have come up with also the third, which is school, religion, church, and tutors. And the final one, which I refer to as the God factor. Why have I chosen these ones? I have also seen the best of parents end up with, in quote, the baddest of children. And in my life, I saw children who have parents turn out to be my best students. And so we ask that question: what changes, what reverses the whole thing? And so we start off by talking about home, family, and parents. They are expected to provide stimulation in raising the total child. Part of this is done by role modeling. Part of it is by affection. Part of it is by nurturing. Part of it is creating experiences for the maximum development of a young child's mind, his soul, and his character. Why am I saying this? I have a friend whose daughter loves football, yet the mother feels it's a game for boys. And so the mother says, you cannot play football. I have another one whose parents want him to play football. And so they buy all the kits for him. And the young man struggles and struggles and struggles. Then he suddenly gets to a point. One day on the field, he takes off the whole jersey and says, Mom, I'm not playing football again. I don't like it. Now, are we to blame the child? Or are we to blame the boy? Whatever side you may fall on, whichever side you may lean on, we're just to develop the character of the child. We must also, as parents and from the family unit, ensure physical stimulation. We must try our best to who, as far as the concerned, knowing fully well that if he continues with that eating culture, he may get onto obesity. Things that we have to deal with. Eat very well. Brings up another set of issues. When I was a young person as well, I remember had such a strict regime that we had to follow. You come back from school, you do your homework, you finish your homework. You could either take a short siesta or find something else to do, but you were rest assured by 4 o'clock. My mom will send everybody out. You could go, I grew up in a university environment, and so we could go to staff club to swim. We could go to the neighbor's house to play football. But how they wouldn't allow you to be at home between 4 and 6. Whereas there were families who, as far as they were concerned, those were luxuries, and would rather have the child read from that 2 to 6. As one child is finishing one thing, then he's moving to lesson teacher, and that is what he does all through the rest of the day while the rest of us were playing and having football. Now, how did that affect it? Well, we can only know today when we think back. We can also look at the emotional aspect of the child, how to handle issues of bullying, social media, and what have you. We must know how to respond to them, how to create a bullying environment in the home between dad and mom. We must look in terms of intellectual development. What are the things we expose the child to that could stimulate their intellect? It also comes down to the choice of schools. Certain schools have certain culture, which are the ones you want to imbibe in your children. For the same reason, there were certain people those days who would prefer their children to go to either King's College, government college, or what have you. As there were those who prefer their children going to Catholic schools. Whatever your ideals are, it's important that you know what to do. We also talk about culture and society, the influence, the futures of everything. There are certain assumptions that are true, but not in absolute terms. For example, there is an assumption that if a child grows up in a poor environment, he may be aggressive. And if he grows up in a rich environment, he may be reserved and disciplined. However, it's not totally true. Why? Because each child is exposed to several types of persons as they grow up, and they decide which one they want to copy. The society transmits these features that makes them conform to the environment. For example, drinking, smoking, bribery, conduct at airport's arrival terminal. All this the child is exposed to, and he decides to choose which one he likes. But this, I would say at this point in time, cultures may differ, but values never change. The value in UK is the same value, honest value in Nigeria. And so we are to train our children in a way that even when they leave us, they go overseas, wherever they may find themselves, even if we are not there, the cultures we have imbibed in them stay with them. The total child is about. We could also talk about the effect of school and religious teachers and tutors. Provide structured education to promote the child's mental, intellect, and psychological as well as spiritual growth. Apart from these academics, they also develop special skills such as teamwork, unity, sharing, responsibility, and good manners. They learn about respect for rules and regulations. behavioral development in group settings. The God factor. Children are the Lord's heritage. That is what we're told in the book of Psalms. We are only holding in trust for God. Pregnancy is a gift from God that we often take for granted. It shouldn't be so. Pregnancy is not about marrying as a virgin, nor is it about being a prolific lover. Who would we define as the total man in biblical terms? Would we say Abraham was Moses, Joseph, David, or even Daniel? Are there lessons to learn from these characters in the making of a total man? If we can make a total child, then we can make a total man. We learn the value of prayers, non-conformity to worldly standards, holiness and integrity, faith and courage from these characters I mentioned. Can we teach our children to exemplify these attributes? And so I conclude, is there a total child? Children are real, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. We shouldn't expect or force perfection in them or out of them. We must, however, nurture the values of empathy. We must encourage them. We must teach them to volunteer for good causes. We must offer rewards sparingly. We must teach honesty and integrity. We must teach them good manners. We must treat them with respect. We must teach them to be disciplined consistently. We must teach them to be thankful and appreciative. We must teach them hard work and teamwork. And so I ask, have you raised your child in light of short visits to other people's homes? Is your child the type that once it enters the neighbor's house, they begin to clear everything because your child is destructive? Have you raised your child in the light of staying at other people's houses for long periods? If your child were to live with your brother, with your cousin, will they see your child as an asset or will they see your child as a nuisance? Would you boastfully recommend someone like your child in marriage? You think you have done good work? That if this person were to marry a total child, will make the best out of the child. God alone can make a child total if he wants to. At times, the best children, like I said, end up with the worst parents and the worst children to the best parents. To raise the total child, almost all we have discussed must be in sync, but for the mercies of God. In closing, the same mercies that I said, but for the mercies of God, always ends the return and the restoration of the prodigals. Do you have a child that as of today can best be described as a rebel? He can still become the total child. By the mercies of God, he can still become the total child. Thank you very much for the privilege.
Thank you very much, sir. I can tell you that this is power-packed. I had said that earlier before, and I hope that our participants and viewers at home are taking notes. I am here taking notes as well. It's truly, truly a power-packed keynote address. For those of us who are just joining in, I would like to remind us that we should kindly share the link to the Zoom channel. We're also on Facebook and on YouTube. So kindly share the link. It's on the chat. Kindly go there to invite much more people to join in and listen in, because this is for everyone. For everyone, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a parent, single parent, a caregiver, I can tell you that you have something to learn. And it has really been awesome since we started. And if you're watching together as a group, kindly send the number of participants to the chat room so we can get to know how many of you are watching together as a group. Please send in your questions as the program goes on to the chat room, and drop in your email addresses and your phone numbers if you don't want to do that privately, kindly do so to Ninos. We would like I mentioned earlier before, we have some freebies going on. And I would like to take the next set. So please, please, please hold on to your phones while the freebies, I call out the numbers. Again, I think someone quickly got the Airtel and the Glow. So if you're an Airtel subscriber, pick up your phone right away. And if you get the number, please send a message to the chat room to say, I got it, and then let us know what line you're using. For Airtel, the number is 17682858 70650535. I'll take the number again. Airtel subscribers, the airtime as freebies going off now is 1768285870650535. Let us know if you got that airtime. For our Glow subscribers, the number is 46779588931558. I'll take that again. 4679588931558. As I take the number, please send in your questions, your comments as well on the chat room. For our 9 mobile subscribers, the PIN number is 0563545576462219. I'll take the number again for our 9 mobile subscribers, 05635576462219. Let us know if you got that number. And for our MTN subscribers, 089629829318200684. I'll take that again. 089629829318200684. So let us know if you got our freebies, our airtime going, and please stay on. Like I said earlier, do not sign out, do not leave the meeting. If you're on YouTube, kindly share the link. Someone just got it. Kindly signify and let us know which of the airtimes you got, so we don't have to call the numbers again. Keynotes, I took some notes, and what struck me was the 4 factors our keynote speaker mentioned when raising expectations of the child. And he talked about home, environment, school, and the God factor. What are the things we actually get to expose our children to? And one thing that struck me, he said, was culture may differ, but the values never change. So wherever your child found himself, whether it's here or abroad, the culture may differ, but the values will never change, because it's a seed that has been sown in their hearts and it would remain. We would now take the videos, because I know some of us are wondering what Ninos Children's Foundation is about. So we're going to tell you much more about Ninos Foundation. Please stay tuned. Our next speaker is Princess Adenike Adedoyin Ajayi. Princess Adenike Adedoyin Ajayi, an astute public service administrator with work experience that spans over 3 decades with Nigeria and the United Kingdom, a woman of many parts with several awards and recognition to her credit. She studied dramatic arts at the University of Ife, then proceeded to the London College of Printing and the Law University Institute, where she bagged a distinction diploma in media studies and photography and a second degree in cinematography. She is a member of many professional bodies. Princess Adenike was married to late Prince Adeniyi. They are blessed with an amazing, loving, and wonderful son like no other, Prince Boluwatife Adeoluwa Ajayi. She is a committed Christian and follower of Christ. She enjoys the arts in all its forms, an avid swimmer, jazz music enthusiast, and an advocate for healthy life. Please, let's put our hands together to make welcome Princess Ajayi.
Thank you so very much. I say hello to everyone watching us where you are, maybe on the Zoom, on YouTube, or via the Facebook. And I also greet my fellow participants here in the studio. Now, my job is to talk about another angle to parenting, which is the role and the part of the single parent and the lone parent. Now, there are 3 categories of parents. We have the dual parenthood, which consists of our usual father and mother, or mom and dad. We have another category, which are the lone parents. Let me explain who they are to you. These are the category of parent that started off as being dual parents. They plant children with their spouses and be there for them as long as they live. But fate came their plans, either by way of death, divorce, or separation. So that person then becomes own. Their emotions as a result of going through it alone can greatly influence their parenting style or choices. And it greatly differs from that of dual parenthood and single parenting. The third category of parenting are the single parents. They've never been married. Some became single parents maybe through rape, some through rejection. Some it's intentional, they just don't want to be married, maybe because they're getting on in age. And some just by making the wrong choices. Their emotions, choice, and style of parenting also differs from that of a lone parent and the dual parent. Single parent is when one is training the child alone all of the time, not that they became alone at some point. Now, the society, including churches, must begin to accept this undeniable reality of the diversity that exists when it comes to parenting. This will ensure appropriate recognition, inclusion, and integration into every conversation surrounding parenting, especially at this time. That's why I'm truly excited that we have a platform to push this conversation of the different angles to parenting. Now, when we are talking about the diversity, inclusion, and integration, let's put that in perspective. It's a known fact that we're diverse, very diverse in our own individualities. And so the society also knows that we are diverse, know that single parents and lone parents exist. Now, what we're advocating for is that inclusion and, of course, integration. So how does this affect this category of parent, either being a lone parent or a single parent? We're going to look at some key points: the social, cultural, the spiritual, and the financial, and of course, the emotional and mental or psychological. Usually, a lot of stigma on these people, this category of parents. When we're talking about the social or societal stigma, they go out, people look at them, they don't have a wedding band. That's one of the things that people used to judge. Oh, they're not married. Oh, all sorts of things come to play. And they look at them like, oh, this cannot be a very good parent. Oh, this one probably got married, never got married, probably had some immoral, virtues or lifestyle and all of that. So we're quick to judge them. The society is also quick to put a stigma on them. They want to get married, or somebody wants to, you have a parent, for example, and the son is saying, oh, I want to marry this woman, but she has a child, or she's already, and they want to say, have you not done that? I had not born. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with having a child? We need to start changing the narrative. That's what happens. There's something about our culture that doesn't want, especially and in particular, the woman to be married to someone who's never been married. The parents don't want that. It's okay if it's a man, to a certain extent. Probably the woman's parents would also say, why don't you want it to be more? Why are you then going after someone that's already had a child or has children? There are young men out there, but in most cases, it's kind of acceptable for the woman to marry a man that already has children or a child. But the society, the culture really, really doesn't want it, when it comes to the woman. What about the spiritual side? When we're talking about the spiritual, we're talking about the spiritual for the individual. And of course, when they go out to fellowship in their various faith-based organizations or, churches or mosques or wherever they go to. Now, there's something about the church. I'll talk about the church because that's my own comfort zone. That's where I know. The church does not recognize them. And when I say they don't recognize them, I'm not saying that they don't know that they're there. They do know that they're there. They would not do things that will include them. They will not do things. I'm not talking about every church. I'm just saying, this is what happens. They will not, think about their needs when they're doing. They're also a natural group. We talk about all different natural groups in the church. These are categories of natural group because they're human beings and something happened to them along the line. So they're still there. So church also needs to, take up that responsibility of accepting them spiritually. There's also the financial aspect, which is very obvious. They say in Yoruba, the load of two people that has become one person, or something that two people should be doing and one is facing it. So it also has financial implications on them as they move along. And of course, we have the emotional, the mental, and the psychological, which is a fallout of all of these other things that happen to them. And of course, we know that all of this can lead to depression. It can lead to low self-esteem. It can lead to loss of values and morals. It can actually lead to them going into drug abuse or substance abuse. Some actually become suicidal or eventually commit suicide, have suicidal thoughts. So these are some of the effects, the stigmatization, non-acceptance, the judgments, that we pass on them. This is some of the effects that it can have on this category of parents. Now let's go ahead and look at the children themselves, because when we're talking about parenting, we cannot remove the children. So we're looking at the children of lone parents and single parents. How does it affect them coming from such a homestead? The children also go through emotional, psychological, social, and physiological things. They have to contend with all of this due to some of the following reasons. Number one, they are oftentimes excluded by those around them or those that interact with them. How do they get excluded? When conversations around having a father is taking place, the people that are talking, it could be their peers, it could be adults, family, caregivers, teachers. They forget that there are children that don't have fathers. So they're saying to the children, for example, in the class, oh, when you get home, tell your daddy to teach you how to knot a tie. And that child is looking, I don't have a dad. Who's going to teach me how to knot a tie? Something as simple as that. And then whispers to the next child and says to that child, will your dad teach me? And the other child will like, how can my dad teach you how to knot a tie? Go give it to your own dad. And he says, I don't have a dad. Why don't you have a dad? And you can only imagine where that conversation will extend to between these little children. And sometimes it also goes to all the teenagers, the young adults, and all of that. I remember from my own personal, story, my son asked me and said, when am I going to see my dad? Because whenever he asks after his dad, I'm always saying, oh, your dad is in heaven, he's helping Jesus. And he will say and then one day he said to me, when am I going to see my dad? I think he was about 5 at the time. He says, our pastor back then, she's a lady. She said, pastor is always talking about, Jesus. Why doesn't she go to Jesus and help so that my dad's been helping us for a long time. He needs to come back. He's done enough. At that point, I knew that helping Jesus was not the story I should be telling him again. That narrative had to change. So I had to start telling him, actually, he's not coming back. When you go up there to help Jesus, there's no coming back. So you can imagine before, if we didn't have a good relationship and communication, he probably won't ask me. So if you don't have a child that you communicate with in such manner, there's a lot that's going on in their minds. They also feel secluded from those that they are meant to interact with. Now, the difference between being excluded and secluded is when other people are doing things or are saying things that does not include them. Seclusion is when they deliberately hold back because they feel that they don't belong to those categories of people or to those category of children who have dual parents. So they seclude themselves. They take themselves out of the equation. They don't want to because they don't have answers to the questions that they're going to be asked when they are in that conversation. They also feel incomplete. They have a sense of lack. They have a sense that something is not complete. Somebody saying, that took us somewhere. I remember when my son was about 2 years old and we went to a birthday party. And at that party, he was playing with another, little boy his age. And they were just playing and we just left them with the mom and I, playing. And all of a sudden, that boy's dad came and the boy left my son and ran to his dad. And his dad picked him up, just like a dad would do with their child. And my son was walking towards that dad and looking like, why can't you do that to me? Why aren't you picking me up? So I had to, call him back. But I knew exactly what was going on in his mind, even at the age of, I think it was about 2 or 3. So they usually feel, incomplete. They have a sense of they're different. They can feel that they're different. Sometimes they can explain it, sometimes they can't. So they feel different. Sometimes they feel rejected. I remember the look on my son's face that day. I could sense I felt rejected, that the other father, who doesn't know him, by the way, didn't pick him up. Even when the father dropped the son, he kept looking and his eyes kept following that man all around. So I could see that he had this sense of feeling rejected or unwanted. And they also ask a lot of questions. Why don't I have a father? What happened to my dad? When is he going to come back? When are you going to get me another dad? When are you know? So they ask a lot of questions and they want answers. They can suffer emotional imbalance and instability, which can lead to rebelliousness, depression, drug and substance abuse, peer pressure, low self-esteem, and they can also be suicidal. They can become what the keynote speaker called rebellious. They can become, very recalcitrant. And it's all because of those things that is, that imbalance that they feel they have in their lives. I'll move on, to how we can help them. Now, let's talk about the people who look after children. Maybe the caregivers, other parents around, grandpas and grandmas, teachers, family members, and all of them. What do they need to do? Before I go on, let me say this categorically, that not all lone and single parents are incapable of bringing up their children in a good, godly, and total way. And not all children of lone and single parents turn out to be dysfunctional or end up being badly behaved or never do well children. Statistics actually shows that majority of these children turn out quite well. However, society has a way of dwelling more on negatives than the positives. That's usually what happens. And we must also remember that lone parenthood is not just about the mothers. We also have fathers that are lone parents or single parents. So what should, as caregivers, do? First, we must always remember this category of parents, particularly in the church and other church-centered programs, whatever it is that we're doing. They are part of us and the larger society in general. We cannot wish them away. So accepting them is the first thing to do. Accepting that they exist, accepting that they are amongst us, they live with us, and making sure that whatever that we're doing, we include them and we integrate them. For example, when we're talking about inclusion and integrating, for example, we just had a Mothering Sunday and Mother's Day. And, the usual thing is, daddies, you should, take mommy out, or you should buy things for mommies, you should do this and that, And there are these people who don't have that other person. And so what can we do? We can celebrate them. We can call them out and say, we know that we have super moms and super dads amongst us who are doing the work of the two. So we celebrate you. We can get you something if you can. If you have anything, you can take them out as well. You can, if they have grown-up children, you can encourage their grown-up children to take them out. Just mere recognizing that they're there is enough. It's a start in that integration process. When we start integrating, we start recognizing and doing things and saying things that will also include them and involve them. We must recognize also that they have their own peculiarities and cannot be dealt with from the same perspective or through the same lens as we view dual parents' styles or how they raise their own children. So we need to always remember that they have their own peculiarities. Sometimes they'll tell us, oh, a prayer meeting, that's for women. That prayer meeting, they're usually hammering on how you're supposed to treat your husband at home or something like that. They're forgetting that there's this, set of people, they don't have husbands. And, put prayer points that will also suit them. when you're giving out all of these prayer points. I remember something happened. At that time, I was still a very young widow. I was about 3 years in my widowhood journey. And we went for a retreat, and they started telling people the prayer points were on, your husbands, because it was a women's retreat. You know what you need to do at home with your husband, this and that and all of that. And I stood there and was wondering, I don't have a husband. I really felt secluded. I felt excluded. I felt and all through that night, through this prayer session, there was nothing to address my own needs. And I felt, so we need to start recognizing as we go ahead. We must not be judgmental. I said that earlier on. Everyone has their own story. Treat them with the same sense of love, respect, and sense of responsibility as you would accord to our parents. Be mindful of what you say to them or their children. For example, what teach you how to knot a tie. Or in the case of the men, how to put on the of socks that doesn't even match anything you're wearing. In the meantime, it was the dad that dressed them up. He doesn't have this sense of color coordination and combination because she's the only one looking after that child. Lastly, I say take time to really know the family background of the children so you know how to look after them appropriately. This can be established either at the point of registering them at your schools, in your care homes, your creches, after school clubs, or whatever environment that brings you to the child's life. Now, a note to single parents and lone parents. The lone and single parents too should provide information that will help the carers do the needful when looking after their children. Don't be abashed, don't be ashamed, to tell them. Please don't tell him or her to go and get something from their dad. I'm the only dad and mom they have. Be bold enough to say it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Part of you holding your own is being able to talk about it. Irrespective of what brought about your being in this category of parent, you must rise above it, embrace your circumstance, own it, discover what best works for you and your child or children. Don't wallow in self-pity. Know and remember that you are not alone. There are plenty more out there who are in even worse circumstances than you are. And very important, speak out. Don't struggle in silence. Seek help. If it's getting too much for you to carry, seek help. There are lots of supports out there now. Never be ashamed of being who you are. And most of all, never forget the God factor. God can do it. If I can, so can you all out there. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ma. Like I said, this is very insightful, and I'm getting to learn so much. And I guess our participants at home are learning as well. Kindly send in your questions, comments to the chat room as the program is going on. And please share. Keep sharing the Zoom link. We're live on YouTube, so please do so. Keep sharing to your family and friends. Before we go on to the Q&A session, I'll come up with our freebies again. So while I'm doing that, I would like for us to send in our questions and comments to the chat group. For our Glow subscribers, and I hope our global audience are not feeling left out, but this is for our Nigerian participants. So for our Glow subscribers, please pick up your phones and get ready. The number is 467795879594. I'll take that again. 467795879594. 795-94204. For our Airtel subscribers, the number is 1-890-0107-0727-3316. I'll take that again. Airtel subscribers, 1-890-01-07-07-2316. Please, if you got any of this airtime freebies, please just put on the chat room so we know that you got it. For our Glow subscribers, the number is 7431-9410-9314-22750. I'll take that again. 7431-9410-9314-22750. And for our 9 mobile subscribers, the number is 9482-7500-4042-124. The number again is 9482-7500-4042-124. So please, if you got any of this airtime, just let us know in the chat room that you got it, and then please put network as well. So please keep sharing the link for your family and friends to join in, because we still have some much more information to share. So we're going right away to our Q&A session. It has been quite insightful and power-packed, loaded with so much information. And the very first question I have is going to our keynote speaker, PDA. So, sir, you mentioned quite a lot. You said so much, and I took down the major points you said about the 4 factors. Now, children of nowadays, they feel like parents are putting them under so much pressure to become perfect children, to become total children. And then it turns out to be parents are getting to compare themselves, compare children with others. Can't you see child, Mr. A's child? He has become this, he has become that. Can't you see he's this? Can't you see he's that? You know, so there's so much comparison, and children of nowadays feel like their parents are putting them under so much pressure, and it's causing them. You hear children saying, "Oh, I'm depressed. This," you know, even from external forces, because you mentioned the environment, the society, culture, how it affects them. So even from the home, you see, from within and from outside, there's so much pressure coming in. How do we get to address this?
Thank you very much. I think personally, it is an error to put pressure on any child to be like any other one. Even where parents, even children of the same parents, they have diverse qualities. The very caring one may not be the very academically brilliant one. The academically brilliant one may not be the polite one or the one given to chores in the household. And so we are not expected. Even the Bible says, comparing themselves with themselves, they became fools. However, it's almost difficult not to, because every parent wants the best for her own children. I remember when I was growing up, I had this cousin who was just brilliant. He was exceptionally brilliant. And so most times my mom would always be on my case about, can't you be like? Then I remember an occasion, one of my older cousins took up my mom on it and said, Auntie, stop telling Dako to be like anybody. And said something in Yoruba, you know. I will never forget my mom's answer. My mom said, well, if I see someone who's wearing a very good wristwatch and it is working well, I will borrow it, you know. And that ended the conversation that day. But the children also, in as much as I feel for them, I want them to also understand one thing. Nobody would love them like their parents. Nobody would desire the best for them like their parents. Everything the parents may be doing, they may be overreaching at times. And we shouldn't also forget, parents are also products of their own upbringing. The parent that has been abused, not in terms of sexually, but emotionally, may not realize that he or she is also projecting the same thing over the child. So I would always suggest for such a child that you create an enabling environment where you can talk to your parents. There's always a right time for the right questions. And the parents as well must also realize that no matter how much pressure you put on a child, there was a case we handled years ago. The child was just naturally jittery. She just didn't feel she could ever meet the expectations of the parents. And before she knew it, she just became a jittery person. But we discovered that whenever she's outside the house and in church, she just seemed to bloom. And so we had to call the parents that, look, this is the effect you're having on your children. And so by just adjusting that, the girls come from the perspective of the children. Please just get the right environment to express without being rude that the pressure is getting to you and it's affecting you. And parents, on the other hand, please don't pressurize them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There's another part to that question, because you hear teenagers, they don't, when I communicate with them, they don't understand. I'm trying to, and they said they don't listen. How do you also get to address this? Because sometimes, like, here say, we're traditional parents, so we don't understand this present day age of parenting. So there's a struggle between the young chap today who is trying to pass a message across to the parents who are like traditional parents who are used to the old school parent. And he says, I am not this new generation parent. I don't understand, because they meet other parents, other children in their schools who have maybe younger parents. And then the parents, those new generation parents, allow their kids to do certain things, allow them to go on YouTube, stay on there from morning to night. But you are this old school traditional parent that says, I don't understand. I don't know. I can't, allow my kids follow this trend. You see children nowadays who have dreads on their hair, they sag, like you mentioned while you were speaking, they allow them to sag their child. The new generation parents understand and can allow the child, because he feels like, oh, okay, this is not what really defines the child. But the old generation parent to say, this is not the way we were brought up. We were brought up to be decently dressed. And at the end of the day, there's this conflict, the child says, oh, I'm depressed. I hear that a lot, that children of nowadays, teenagers, they say, I'm depressed, and that leads to them saying that their society. I heard last week that a young girl who just graduated as a medical doctor, 22 years old, say, oh, my parents is putting me under so much pressure. And then she became suicidal. So there's this communication gap between the old generation parents and the new ones. Yeah.
Three things I will say here. We must bring up our children in a way that our love for them is never in doubt. That's the starting point. You must bring them up to the point whereby your love for them is never in doubt. Number two, there is just so much you can do with any child once they get into their teenage years. I remember a father who said, I will cane him, I will beat him. And I said, sir, once they enter this age, caning and beating is not the problem. But the man went ahead. He caned his boy, and the boy stood there, called the cane. And after finished, said, thank you, Dad, and walked. Can I go to my room? So the father ran back to me and said, Dapo, I think he's a thug. He's in the cult. And I said, your son is not in a cult. I've told you, this is not the generation that you beat. In our own days, it worked. In this generation, it won't work. Just set boundaries for them. Now, when we're talking about boundaries, you don't set boundaries when they have become full-grown men. Those boundaries start from a very early age. That's why we're talking about a total child. There are certain boundaries. From the time the child is a kid, you've already set boundaries such that the child knows he should not lie. So no matter what happens, the child will not lie. From a young age, the child knows issues of boundaries. I have two young adults staying with me. And like I said, one likes the dreadlocks and all that. And the mother immediately arrived from the abroad, as we say. The mother said, this thing will not work for you in Nigeria. Of course, he didn't listen. But between the airport and their home, they were flagged down by policemen. And the policeman said, yes, oh yeah, come out. Can we check your pocket? Can we do this? And eventually the policeman was bold enough to apologize to the mother and say, well, we stopped you because of the way you look, the profiling. And so there are instances, like I said, every correction must come from a point of love. They respond to love. I'm sorry. They always respond to love. If it is their in church that gives it, that pastor becomes their confidant. If it is someone who is totally evil that gives it, that person becomes the confidant. And so we must always teach our children our values, create boundaries for them. And as they grow up, even when they want to step out of the boundaries, they will still call you. My son called me the other day and he said, Dad, what do you feel if I get a tattoo? Now, I smiled. I was trying to figure out, okay, is this one of those his questions to wind me up? Or was he sincerely considering it? Later on, I found that he was actually considering it. Now, instead of me, I could easily have said, oh, the Bible says, the Bible says, the Bible says. I said, let's have an agreement. He said, what's that, Dad? I said, do the removable one first. Let's see if you would even like it. Because my experience with tattoos is people do it, then later on they regret doing it. I said, so why don't you do it that way? Of course, the mom was like, I don't think you should do it. I think it is wrong. I think it is this. He said, well, I'm going to listen to my dad. Okay. Then after about a week or two, I'm like, oh, you haven't told me you've tried it out. He said, well, I thought of what you were saying. Maybe I don't really need it after all. I said, well, it's okay. What he did not realize, I hope he's not listening. What he did not realize was that I immediately started praying. Because I don't want him to come with, not that if he had tattoo, it makes him less my son. But I just felt he did need it because of the profiling. And so we must get to that point whereby we love our children. They know we love them. They come to us for everything before they go outside to ask other people. We are their best friends. We are their buddies, like I usually say. And that's really what separates the old school from the new generation. The old school, once when he comes home, he presses the horn, everybody begins to run from pillar to post, trying to, what is not right in this house? Then you must all come outside and collect daddy's bag. Everybody must stay around daddy till daddy says, okay, I can release you. And when daddy is eating, everybody is just around. But the new school, they say, hi, dad. You say, how was your day? You laugh because somehow in our generation, we covet more that relationship with our children than they did for us. And finally, for the old school, you don't have to be like your parents. You can improve on your parents. And that's the honest truth. You don't have to be like your parents. You can improve on it. And that is why I said it's not every time that the best children belong to the best parents. You can create ideals for yourself, totally different from the one you were brought up with, and your children will be better off for it. Thank you.
Quite interesting. I have one interesting question here. Is about talking about the same thing. This is saying, sir, you said we're products of our upbringing. So can I bring my kids up the way I was brought up? No, sir, I was not abused, but my parents didn't spare the rod. By rod, I mean rod, as in beating, you know, that's the old traditional, the one we're just talking about. So how does she get to handle this?
Well, like I said, let's for a minute transpose this question to someone who is in the Western world. Can you beat? The government will take your children from you. And so we mustn't always see, the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. It's in two ways. You can take that statement, hook, line, and sinker, and you can take it figuratively. I believe that there is a particular age where the rod works. Once the child passes that age, it is now all about boundaries. It is all about boundaries. Now, there is a way, I have someone very close to me who the only way the mother corrects the young man is to say, I will report you to your dad. The moment the mother makes that statement, the boy begins to say, no, why do you want to report me to my dad? Why do you want to spoil my relationship with my dad? He just loves his dad. He treasures the relationship he has with his dad. And so to correct him, just say, I will tell your dad. So you must come up with something for your own child. Like I said, foolishness is bound in the heart of children. That's what the Bible says. That is true. But there is the age where rod of correction corrects it. There is age where rod of correction does not correct it any longer. Let's take it a little bit further. The child has been good all these years. Then he gets married. Then you suddenly see your child exhibiting traits that are totally foreign to what you brought up the child with. What would you do? Would you go to the home to cane him? No, you won't. And so, rod, yes, let's know figuratively and otherwise. There's the age rod can correct. That age, in fact, once the child sees the cane, the child begins to cry and run. But there's the age whereby bring the child. In my own case, as a teenager, my mom was unusual. There was a time she would cane me, cane the back of your leg, cane your back to correct you. Then suddenly I became bigger and taller than her. And so we will start caning and I will hold the cane. Then she devised another method. Before caning me, she will carry two canes. Give me one, take one. Say, you don't need to hold my own. When I cane you, you can cane your own back. And of course I couldn't. And so I would get double if I even attempted to hold her own. And so, but that was my own upbringing. It would be totally wrong for me to now say that is the right mode. As a teenager, you want to cane him. As this, no, you don't. Sorry. I hope the other person agrees with me.
Thank you very much. You know, like you say, the cane is a figurative speech. It could mean, the rod rather, it could actually mean the cane, and it could mean any other thing like deprivation. For example, if as a dad or as parents on Sundays you take your children out maybe for ice cream or something, and you want to teach one of them or correct them, if you deprive that child of ice cream for that Sunday, I assure you, his or her brain will reset. No, because there are things they hold very dear. So there are things that could work better. If a child has a favorite television program and the child will be for 1 day or two, they will surely correct their ways. So just need to know what works. Thank you.
I think you've already answered the question, because someone was also asking, how do you get to discipline a child who is stubborn without using the cane? Mommy has already mentioned, Mrs. Collager had already mentioned that you could do so by depriving that child from certain pleasures, not allowing the child go watch TV or giving the child to anything that he really likes. So I think that works, a whole lot, because kids. But I would like to ask this question: does that work for adults, young adults? And say she's, after all, and I also feel like some of them would say, I already know what she will do. She should just say, I should be okay, fine. Some of the parents have, so change.
One thing we should not be tired of doing is counseling the children. Continuous of counseling them, and like the keynote speaker said, one thing that is vital, unconditional love for our children. Let them, I always say this, if a child comes with pregnancy, which we don't pray for, you must still let that child know that, yes, I am highly disappointed, but I still love you. And that would help them to retrace their steps. Even if they give birth to the child, well, of course, that is expected. A child that gets pregnant must give birth to the child. But then they must continue in their path, education, advancement in life. We must be there to support them, irrespective of whatever happens to them. So when that foundation of unconditional love is laid, then we don't be sure that my mom has good intentions, okay? And when they are being deprived or punished for anything, it must be with clear explanation of why this is being done. Once they understand why this is being done, it will help them to amend their ways. Let our love be unconditional and expressed clearly to our children all the time.
Okay, I would like to come over to Princess. You're a parent as well. I know your son is an adult now. So give us some practical examples how you brought him up while he was growing up. What parenting style did you use? Even when if he showed any traits of stubbornness, so help us out with some practical steps that you used.
Thank you very much. Yes, for me, I think one of the major things is the God factor. Prayers, you never go wrong with that. Also, now being more practical, one of the things that I started doing from a very early age was to carry him along in everything. For example, even when he was young, he knew how much they had in the family as money. And he knows that this is for that, this is for this, and this is for that, and this is our spending money. So whenever he wants anything, he would ask me, can we afford it? Because he knows how much our spending money is. And even if I am buying anything, he would ask me, Mom, where did you get that from? And I would say, I've been saving some of my own pocket money. So, and I also realized that whenever I promise them anything, when I promise him anything, I do it. So he doesn't see me as not being credible. The integrity. So if I said to him, if you do this and you do it well, I'm going to give you this. I promise to buy you this. He then, goes ahead and does it. So I'll make sure that whatever it is that I've promised as a reward for him. You must also know your child's emotions. Some children are reward children. Some are touchy, feeling, they just want the hug. Some of them just want to, for me, we had a star wall where if it does anything good, I'll put a star on the wall. I'll put a star, there's like a booklet, and it keeps counting it. And if it does anything that is wrong, I will then remove the star. So for him, that was how I was keeping track of balancing what he does wrong and what he doesn't do wrong, and what he does right. Also, we have family meetings from a very early age. And our family meetings, we center on the things that is about us within the family. So you can't say it out. You can't tell others. And the ones that is about, oh, it's okay, you can share it with others. So he knows that if he wants to say, ask me, Mom, is this our family meeting matter? Or can I say it? And then I'll say it's family meeting matter. Because the things that I will tell him might not go well with other parents. So if he shares it with his friend and he says, it's my friend, Volva's father told me, the mother can then come and say, I don't teach my children, So we had those little boundaries that I was setting for him as well. And then anytime he wants anything, we have this, he has to go and do what is called a business case. So he cannot tell me he wants anything just because he wants it. Is it a need or is it a want? So from that very early age, I started teaching him what he needs, what stands as a need in his life, and what is a want, something that he just wants. And so before he comes, he would have really thought about it and look out and say, Mom, this is not a want, I need it to. True sandals has holes under it, so I really need a new one. I just don't want it because, so he started getting clear on things that he needed and the things that he wants. And another thing that I usually do is when he asks me anything, I'll say, what do you think? So I always got the in mind, So that's one of the mothering days. Mother is not a secret with us. You can tell me. And then I promise you, I won't tell her. And so he said, okay. So he told me. And in that way, we're saying we cannot keep secrets. So no matter what it is, but he trusts me enough to know that I'm not going to go and tell that person. And I'm telling you till today, that person doesn't know that I know. You understand? And we joke about it now. And I'm talking about several years ago. And we say, do you know that Auntie so-and-so does not even know that? I hope she's not watching. Because now she knows. Now she knows that I know. So those are some of the things, some of the ways. When he didn't have too much of a teenage, those teenage years that they become a bit difficult and all that. I think what he did was always locking himself up in his room, wanting his own privacy. They all do that. But what we've cultivated over the years is that I always evade his space. I go into his space. You understand? And it's good for parents to know everything. I will watch cartoons with him. I will watch his football with him. I will watch everything with him. So we always have something to talk about. I can just say, oh, remember this in this cartoon character and that. And he gets excited because he can see me identifying with the things that he likes. He can see me knowing what, even now he will tell his friend, my mom knows everything. My mom, no, don't joke with my mom. She can't. Look, he will do video and say, Mom, dance the new dance for them. Let them see how they dance it, because he has that confidence that whatever is happening in their world, even if I don't know everything, I know enough to have a good conversation with him. So draw your children, go into their space, know what they do, so that you can talk to them on that level, and they will be comfortable to talk to you and discuss anything with you.
Thank you very much. I know this is getting interesting now because I know of some children who say to my parents overindulge. They want to know everything about me. They want to get into my space. But I think you mentioned something which is very key, that you started very early. So the children are used to it. So not that in this maybe when they've gotten to 15, 16, that's when you want to get into their space. They're like, you were never there. So, I mean, and yeah, what do you want? What do you want to know? So you see them get into their rooms, stay in their rooms, not coming out, and you're saying you want to go. What are you watching? What are you? And the child is like, I mean, if a new generation parents nowadays, I think some of them would identify with this. They're so busy. I can tell you that, especially in this climate, there's, staying in traffic, going to work, coming back, you're so pressured, and at the end of the day, you're tired, and then you want one child. When the child comes to even talk to you, say, please, I need to rest. I just, please, let me have my time, let me have my space. And then after some time, you're worried that this child is not coming to you to talk to you, but that you push them away, and then at the end of the day, you're coming back to say, I want to come into your space, but with this now, I think parents, we need to create that balance, know where, to say that we need to start early, getting close to our children. Let us be close to them. There's this very interesting question here, and we should also note that there are some school owners in our midst, and also teachers as well. She says that in my sister's son's school, one of the girls aged between 3 to 5 years said she wanted to be a prostitute, just like her mom. How does the school handle such situation? I'll say over to Mrs. Collado, please.
That's really pathetic, but then it's a situation that must be handled, it's a reality. That child needs counseling. She needs love. She needs reorientation. And of course, because she lives with the mother needs help. So if it's beyond the school, they could seek assistance of a counselor, to speak to the mother to find out her challenges. I will say this to us clearly, that a lot of people who end up as prostitutes, in 90% of the cases, it is because of their experience as little children. Most of them were abused. This was what led to the situation. And this child we are talking about here, that's the only lifestyle she has seen. She lives with the mother. So the mother herself needs rehabilitation. And the only way to address that issue and help the child is to start with the mother, so that whatever help she needs will be provided. Then the child will be counseled. And the only solution is the lifestyle change of the mother. So both of them need to be worked on. The child must know the other side of life that is not prostitution. So it's a great issue, and we don't mind to get involved so we can be contacted. Thank you.
All right. So please, the one who asked the question, if you don't mind, you can send a private message to Ninos if you need that help. Princess, I would like to come over to you. This question actually goes directly to you. It says, what can be done to encourage single parents, in spite of the circumstances that led to their singleness, to enter or try out new relationships?
I think the first point is to recognize them. When we give them that recognition, they become comfortable. They feel that they've been accepted. They feel a sense of belonging. And so the journey starts from there. Because by the time we include them and integrate them, they start seeing that they are not different, really. They might be different in their circumstance, but they're still, beautiful. They're still, marriageable age if they are, and they still can go into any relationship. And of course, when we start also re-educating and changing the narratives of oh, my son cannot marry somebody who has a child already, or my daughter cannot marry someone, you understand? So all of these things have to come to play so that when, you know, they're dating or someone wants to date them, they're not afraid to tell that person that, oh, I have a child, you know, because that's why they hold back of being rejected or being, you know, say, no, I don't want. So they, from the get-go, they can say it and say, I have a child. And the person then goes on to say, that's not a problem. You know, so it's about us changing the narratives in wherever we are, be it at the church, be it at home, as parents, as grandmas and grandpas in family stage. We need to change that narrative to let them know that there are people who are lone or single parents, and it's okay for them to get into a new relationship. And so they too will then feel comfortable to start it.
All right. The second question says, what do teachers and caregivers do to earn the confidence of children of single parents?
Nothing beats love, a show of love. Just love them. Keep loving them. The more you love them, the more they become comfortable, the more they feel accepted, the more they have, you know, that sense of, I am not different. Because the love that you are showing the other children is what you are also showering on them. And the more they will become open. You know, when somebody really loves you, you feel free to talk to them. And the more, you know, these teachers love them, the more the children will talk to them. And the more the children talk to them, the more they are able to know their needs. The more they're able to find out that, you know, we really shouldn't be talking about daddies because this child doesn't have a dad. And so when we want to talk, we must devise a way of saying things in such a way that that child doesn't feel left out or feel that they're pointing fingers and trying to make jest of them. So when you can love them, then you are on a path of really ensuring that you gain their confidence.
Yeah, you know, while you were speaking, you mentioned lone parents as a result of rape. Someone actually says here that she did a practicum in a public school. Majority of the kids are from single parents who are not educated, and they tend to blame the children because they got them out of rape. So some of these parents blame the shame, you know, on the children, and this actually can get to affect their self-esteem. So what can be done?
That's why, you know, remember when I was speaking the other time, I said they shouldn't be ashamed of their situation. If they were raped, you know, even if they were not raped, whatever it is, even if it was a wrong decision or choice that you made at some point in your life, you know, you can change that narrative by leaving those burdens. They're burdens, unnecessary burdens that you are now, what do they call, transferred aggression on the children. And that's why I said they have their own emotions too. That's why I said both the parent, the single or lone parent, and the child or the children have different emotions that they go through. Because everything that is, if it was a failed relationship, the mother would say, if it was not that your useless father that went away, or the other man can say, if it's not that your useless mom that dropped all of you at my door and went away. You understand? And sort of lash out on the children. They need to know that it is nobody's fault. No blames, no judgment. Pick up the pieces of your life and enjoy life. Enjoy life. Don't dwell on what life has dealt you in the past. Look at how you can change that narrative and enjoy life so that your child that you have brought forth out of that messed up past will not be messed up. They can have a good life, you know, and together both of you can enjoy life. And it is when you are enjoying that life that somebody else can come and meet you there and add value to what value you already have.
Thank you very much, ma'am. PDA, I'll come to you now. There's this question that says, how do we correct a child that believes he knows more than you? And I'll just quickly add to this so you can take both of them at the same time. Is it wrong not to buy a teen a phone and insist until he finishes SS3?
The first one says,
A child that knows more than
the reality is there is no child that sincerely feels they know more than their parents. You just have a generation of children who try their luck. Most times they're trying their luck. They just want to see how much they can push, how much they can get from you. And if you're someone that is always giving in, then a crisis of boundaries now starts. They're used to having this. I have two young men that stay with me. Yesterday morning, I took them we went to Mega Chicken to eat. Then in the evening, they came back to me that, can they have money to eat suya? I said, okay, if I give you money for suya, then you don't ask me for anything for the next 1 week. So they had to go and do a meeting. PD says, if he gives us money for suya, we're not getting anything for the next 1 week. They thought about it, then they came back. Yes, we would rather have the money for the suya. And I gladly gave them. Why? Because I know nobody's asking me anything for a week again. So these are the kind of things I'm talking about, that they don't know more than you. They would always feel, it depends on what they've been getting before. It comes back to boundaries at an early age. There are certain things that they must know what you stand for. Now, as they grow older, don't forget, they live in a world of social media. You don't. And so you must take that into consideration. You must also want to be a part of their life, so that when they start saying certain things, you are not totally oblivious of what they are saying, which was what Princess had said before. The problem we have today is parents who they wanted to bring up their child the way they were brought up. I have a pastor friend who, when his children say they need things, he will say they should go and sort it out. So one of the children told me, and I said, sir, how do you expect them to sort it out? I sorted it out somehow. My father never. And I'm like, oh, so you want them to be like your father? Because you are just creating a horrible cycle. You must want to improve on your parents. And that's the honest truth. And so how do I do this? Understanding. The reality is they never know. They know they don't know more than you, but they would always try their luck. And at times, even when they shut you out like that, they may be trying to send another message to you that is not being spoken. Is it that you don't give them enough time? Is it that you don't? So we come across all these cases. They only get worse if you don't deal with them. By the time he enters into marriage, then you don't even have any means of communicating with them. The second one, phone. I'm someone who doesn't believe you just say no. You ask me for something, you need to tell me what you want to do with the phone. Why do you need the phone? A young man asked me at 16 years old, Pastor, why can I have a boyfriend, a girlfriend? And I said, what do you want to do with the girlfriend? He said, everybody is doing it. I said, yes, you are not everybody. What do you want to do with girlfriend? But everybody, I said, it's not a matter of everybody, you. And in a very short way, I told him, I said, well, there are privileges that go with having girlfriend. And there are responsibilities that go with having girlfriend. Girlfriend, you carry her out, you pay for everything. Is it out of your pocket money? Then part of the privileges for the adults, they will kiss. Do you want to be kissing? After kissing for a while, you begin to fondle each other. If you fondle each other too much, then you would have sex. If you have sex and she gets pregnant, are you ready for the responsibility to become a father instantly? So the things I'm enjoying, you begin to enjoy. And the things that I'm responsible for, you to begin to be responsible for it. And so it's all about communication. Now, if the child can justify needing a phone, sincerely, Why not? I don't believe there is an age for. It's all about how the child makes use of the phone. There are things that my son can do with my phone that I cannot, I don't even know the phone was designed to do. And so if the child can justify it, I personally, I don't know what the child wants to do, but it could also be a means of correcting the child. It could also be a means of watching over the child. Okay, I'll buy you a phone, but I'll give it to you on Friday night. I collect it back on Sunday. Can we agree? The child will say, I will agree because it's better than nothing. So we agree. On Friday, I give it to you. On Sunday, I collect. The child will say yes. That also gives you an avenue to know what she's doing on the phone. Because honestly speaking, if you don't give him or her a phone, someone else will. He's still going to have access to it in school with someone. But if you are the one who provided it based on certain conditions, then you can control the use of the phone. And if suddenly the child begins to check the child's favorites and the child is already visiting pornography site, then you already know what you are dealing with. You are not blindsided. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the answer. Please, participants, don't go anywhere. There's still a whole lot more freebies to go because there's still quite some few questions that we'll take. And we're going to also hear brief parting words from our speakers before we leave. So if you would permit us 10, 15 minutes, we'll be rounding up. I'll quickly go back to my freebies. For our Airtel subscribers, the number, and I'll be fast this time, so please pick up your phones. The number is for the Airtel subscribers 1772-1708-9253-0056. I'll take that again for Airtel subscribers 1772-1708-9253-0056. For our Glow, and please, if you got it, just go on the chat and let us know that you got it and then mention the network, please. So for our Glow subscribers, the number is 46779-58039-59000. I'll take that again, 46779-58039-59000. For our MTN subscribers, the number is 722-575-2-4963-80817. The number again for MTN subscribers is 722-575-2-4963-80817. And for our 9 mobile subscribers, the number is 1624-1011-111-4249. The number again is 1624-101-111-4249. Please don't go away. We still have quite much more freebies to go. I'll come to Mrs. Skolajo at this time, and I'll quickly want her to answer to 2 questions you take at the same time. It says, how can a mother change the opinion of a child that feels her mom does not love her due to constant chastening? And the other says, is it acceptable to refuse a child food as a form of correction?
Thank you very much. Number 1. What was that again? Sorry.
Number 1 was, how does the mom change the opinion of the child that feels her mom does not love her due to constant?
Okay. Pardon me for saying this, but you might need to start with an apology because you have committed a parenting error. We have talked about love, And I believe by now you have an understanding. You have missed it. I am not in any way saying that you shouldn't correct a child, but it is apparent that your approach has not been right. So if you want that child to have confidence in you and believe that you love her, then you must start by apologizing, then explaining your intentions. One thing I try to let children know, especially teenagers, is please look at your parents' intentions. A lot of us do it the wrong way, but look at what they have in mind, which is that you turn out right, which is that their desires be fulfilled over you. So let the child know that probably you've not been doing it right. Please let us learn to correct our children in love. It is not until you yell that children can be corrected. And I hope there are younger parents learning from our mistakes in all this. In correcting a child, or explain the circumstances, or consequences of what they are doing wrong. And let them know that all you have in mind is their best. So for you, please apologize to the child, explain your intentions, and change your way of correcting. Thank you. The second one, depriving a child of food, that is wickedness. I'm a member of Child Protection Network. If we get hold of you, you will be in serious trouble. You know, you don't deprive a child. You could deprive them of pleasure, but not food, which is a basic need. So please be mindful of that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ma. I have a question here, which is quite interesting. It says, PD, I would come to you with this question. It says, I have an almost 13-year-old daughter who keeps saying that by the time she gets to SS1, she will kiss. Despite all counsel, she seemed to have made up her mind. She says she has no boyfriend now in JSS3, but certainly she said when she gets to SS1, she will definitely kiss. What advice and way out can you provide?
I think the starting point will be why SS1? Why not now? Because it may be important to know why SS1. Is it that to her that's the age of consent, 16? And also we need to look at the culture. Is a person in Nigeria, is a person overseas? The age of consent is 16 overseas. And so if that equivalent of SS1 is 16, then the child is telling you, by this age, I'm going to do this. That's one. Number two, like I always say, we have this wonderful generation that they know how their parents react. And so they like winding them up. They just enjoy it sincerely. A child who wants to kiss and have fun at SS1, trust me, will not tell you. Sincerely, I'm not sure they will tell you. Now, what do we do with such a child? It comes back to what we had said before. Is the child telling you because you are your child's best friend? Or is the child just telling you to get you upset? You need to know which one of these things. Now comes the third aspect also. And I'm sorry for those of our viewers that are not religious inclined, but I can't separate it because this has been my experience all my life. May God help us, whether you are a Christian or Muslim, to raise godly children. If you raise godly children, there are certain things your children won't do, not because they are afraid of the cane or the rod. It's just because they have their own relationship with God and they don't want anything to go wrong with that relationship. I was talking to one young girl. Well, I call her young girl. She's 19. And I was trying to say, oh, how are the guys? Just trying to make conversation, find out. And she said, which guys? I said, don't guys chase you? He said, there are distractions. There's certain things I'm going for now. I look at the way relationship has been doing my friends, how they lose control, they can't seem to think well, they have sleepless nights, and I'm like, this can't be good for me. And she just chose on her own. No boyfriends. No mother said anything, no father said anything. And she's even in the Western world. But she just decided. These are the things that we call the making of a total child, which is why we're having this discussion. How do we have children that we reason like this? It is all that we have been discussing since we started this program. And so for this lady who is asking, please ask her, why doesn't she want to start now? In the process of her explaining why not now, then you are also able to explain why even at that SS1, it's still not a good idea. You talk about HIV, you talk about COVID. It's even a faster way to catch COVID, actually. Yeah. So when you think of all those things, then the child has to think. Please, what was the second question? So I can. Or was it one? Oh.
Just one question. All right, Princess, I would always come back to you to give us the practical side of how you brought up your own son. When we spoke about the phone thing, how did you get to do that with him? When did you get him a phone?
For us, at the time, he was in the abroad, like we say, we're in the UK then, and he wanted, we agreed that when he becomes a teenager, and not a 13 teenager, but a 14 teenager, that was when we were going to get him a phone. And the contract and agreement was that you are going to buy your own phone, so save up to it. And he started saving up to it. I didn't say you're not going to have a phone. I just told him what age, and I explained to him, just like Mrs. Kolajo was saying, I explained the reason why. I said, when you are 14, you are hefty enough. Somebody who wants to steal that phone from you will think twice, and then the places that now I'm not going to be going with you everywhere. I'm not going to be dropping you. I'm not going to be around you. So you'll be able to communicate with me with regards to your movement. So he understood that and he agreed. And so when I said, you're going to also have to buy your phone yourself, he said, fine. And he started saving up. But the truth of the matter is, when I knew that he saw a phone at that time, I think it was about £49.99. It was about £50, just short of £50. And he had already saved up to £39 or something like that. And we went into a shop and he was showing me, Mom, that's the phone I want, nice phone. So I said, okay, how much is your money now? And he said, oh, I've only got about 20 more pounds to go. I said, fine. So I went to the shop and then, he was just there looking and I paid for that phone for him. And I said, Tifa, you've got a phone. And he said, Mom, but I don't have. I said, don't worry. You know why I've given you that phone? Because you have been saving up very well. You have impressed me. You've been a good, Let me tell you, this phone, he's 25 now. He got that phone when he was 14. That's the phone he used when he comes to Nigeria. He cherishes it. Because that was his first phone and his contribution was there. So there's a commitment. It wasn't free, it wasn't on the platter of gold and, because you cherish what you work hard for. He deprived himself a lot of things to save up to that. His pocket money was just £3 every week. So for him to have saved up to £30, he had saved for a long time. So those are, some of the things that I did. And the same thing, with, it just resonated with me when PD was saying that young lady, said, oh, what am I going to do with boys? That was the same thing that he was saying when I tease him and say, so he's your girlfriend now. So you say, Mom, they're distraction. I see all my friends that are having girlfriends, they distract them. And I'm just not ready for all of that. And another thing there's this set, PD, I'm not sure if you're aware, there's this set of young adults now in the UK that are so disciplined and they move together. And they have this ring that they put on. It's like a chastity ring. Chastity ring. So let everybody know that they are not defiled. That they, both girls and boys, they put them on. They go out and they will tell themselves, dock your phone. You don't use phone when we are out together. And they dock their phone. And if your phone rings, you're going to have to pay for everybody's food. They also do one thing. They say to themselves that whenever they are together or they're using their phone, they don't use phone text languages. They write properly. So when they send messages to you, they will write, they don't write about and write ABT. They will write everything in full. So it's almost as if there's some kind of wave in their mind that something is not wrong. We have to write it. So they're having these ideals and values, and they are bent on walking that talk of that values. And I really applaud them. My son is one of them. I'm happy.
Congratulations to you. That was what we were talking about, values. You know, it says culture may differ, but the values never change. And I want us, please, participants, don't go away. I still have some more freebies to go, but I would like to start with PD here. What would be your parting words for us before we round up?
Thank you very much. Today has been a learning experience for me as well. I thank you also for the privilege given to be a part of this program. 4 things I will say. 1, there is no total child anywhere. What produces the total child are the inputs you have put as a parent, the school, the church, society as a whole. No child is infallible. It only depends on whose expectation is being considered. One parent is not being considered, not just the parents. Would a Ronaldo as a footballer naturally produce another Ronaldo? It's not likely. I went to check the life of Michael Jordan, who is still arguably being said to be the best basketballer ever. None of his children succeeded in playing basketball. So would we say they are not total children simply because they couldn't replicate what their father achieved? Magic Johnson, who was one of the first public figures to come out to say he had HIV, has a gay son, whereas he's the so-called alpha male. So there's no total child anywhere. All we must do, the values that we hold dear, we must make sure we teach our children. It will work for them. It will work for everybody they come in contact with. Number 2, we must also give consideration to the way the children feel in putting pressure on them to be the perfect child. Hopefully, we should check that we're not creating a toxic environment for the child, such that there's this new set of children, they prefer staying in the university. Once they enter higher education and they've left home, they never want to come back home for holidays. Easter, Christmas, they want to stay in school because they see it as an escape. We must be conscious we don't produce such children. Finally, I said something in closing. I said, there will always be the prodigals, whether you like it or not. They are not the total child. They don't want to be the total child. So don't try and make them. That's 1. Number 2, if they've gone wayward, please always create an enabling environment for them to come back home. They will always come back home, whether it is drugs, whether it is prostitution, whatever it is, they will always remember home to come back home. Please also remember, parenting is a privilege. Don't abuse it. The children are God's heritage. They've given us. We are accountable for their future. We must get it right. Now, to the young ones, this is the one I need to say. please forget sense of entitlement. There's this new generation. They just believe they are entitled to everything. Parents, if you are to succeed in your child, being a responsible human being, please deal with that. Every sense of entitlement, manage it well so that it doesn't destroy their future. Thank you very much.
Your parting word, Princess.
Thank you. This has been a very, very interesting and exciting time, and of course, learning as well. For me, the single and lone parents, including their children, have a lot to contend with, trying to be the best parents they possibly can be to their children. And of course, the best children the children can possibly be to their unique parents. So it's therefore important that they are seen and treated appropriately from a position of knowledge and understanding of their peculiar situation, rather than sidelining, stigmatizing, or judging them, either due to ignorance or just not wanting to accept the fact that they exist. It is also important, in closing, that we recognize the fact that men also fall into these categories of being lone or single parents, and their emotions and parenting styles or choices often differs from their women counterparts for obvious reasons. So let's all embrace single and lone parenthood. Let us include them and integrate them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Before I would move on to Mrs. Kolajo for her parting words, I would like to share my very last set of freebies, and apologies to our broadening participants, because I heard someone say, what about our people in diaspora? I apologize. So back to our Nigerian participants. For Glow subscribers, please pick up your phones. We're ready to go. The number is 46779 58982 40735. I'll take the number again. 46779 58982 40735. Airtel, the number is 1772 1708 9253 0056. I'll take that again. Airtel 1772 1708 9253 0056. There's another Airtel coming in. 1325 4436 0829 6011. I'll take that again. Airtel subscribers 1325 4436 0829 6011. 9 Mobile 5078 6586 9101 980. I'll take that again. 9 Mobile 5078 6586 9101 980. And for our MTN subscribers, the number is 5001 5593 0497 31684. I'll take that again. 5001 5593 0497 31684. Now, Mrs. Kolajo, your last words and appreciation.
We appreciate everyone. We are grateful to those who stayed up till now. Like the two speakers mentioned, the God factor. This cannot be overemphasized. Children belong to God from pregnancy, from the womb till their adulthood. They are God's own heritage. And we need him to guide us on how to bring them up for him. Parenting is a divine assignment. God has entrusted them to us because he believes we'll be able to succeed with them. If we have committed any error in the course of doing this assignment, we need to retrace our steps and turn around. A lot has been said. I pray that all of us will make use of all we've learned today. Do always remember, we are not just talking about biological children, but every child that crosses your path. And I will keep telling teachers, you are people of great influence, more than you can ever imagine. So please seize the opportunity to help that child. You could be the destiny helper that God has ordained for that particular child. Every child has a need. We'll close by appreciating the Almighty God who has made this possible from edition 1 to this 4th one. And we believe that it will be getting better by the year, by his grace. I thank God for our esteemed speakers, people of substance. I'm aware they are both very busy today, but they made this sacrifice. Our moderator, Alero Awoyemi, we appreciate you very much. I want to thank God for our intercessors, that are people who have been praying for us and with us for a successful program. And I cannot but appreciate my beloved Funke Adeniji. I just came this morning like the speakers came. I met the media team this morning. She's behind everything. God bless and honor you. Thank you, every single participant. Without you, it will be a waste of time to be here. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for learning. And thank you for using that which you have learned. See you all next year by the grace of God. We appreciate you all. Bye.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kolajo. There's a survey that is going to come up now, and we want everyone to participate so we can serve you better next year by the grace of God. So the survey will be up. Please, I would like for us to be part of the survey while I'll take one more freebies. For my MTN subscribers, the number is 5313-522-4472-13178. I'll take that again, 5313-522-4472-13178. This is for those who stay to the, and I can tell you that you must have learned quite a lot from today's workshop. For our 9 mobile subscribers, the number is 3856-4401-8021-185. The number again is 3852-4401-8021-185. For Airtel subscribers, the number is 1890-0107-0727-3316. Again, 1890-0107-0727-3316. For our Glow subscribers, the number is 46795-58795-94204. Again, 46795-58795-94204. I hope we're all part of the survey and we have come to the very end of today's workshop. The total child, raising the total child 4, and we hope that we will all be part of next year's workshop. Before we go, I would like to pass the microphone on to PD for his closing prayers.
Shall we pray? Precious Father, we thank you once again because it is you who wills us to do of your good pleasure. Your word declares that there is a spirit in man, and it is the inspiration of the Almighty that gives understanding. Understanding of the vision that you give your daughter, Father, we thank you for it. We ask, Lord, that you continue to prepare and provide like-minded people to not only share this burden with her, but to also carry it with her. We ask that the lives of the children that have been touched, even by this service, we pray, Father, Lord, that those children would in turn become assets, even to their environment, to their parents, and to your kingdom at large, in the name of Jesus. Lord, we thank you for the collective will of everyone that has worked towards this project. We ask, Lord, that which will cause their own joy to be full, Father, you will do for them in the name of Jesus. And Lord, we commit every person that has listened to us today, irrespective of the challenges they may have with their own individual children. In your mercy, exceed their expectations. Concerning their children, exceed their expectations. Concerning their own lives as well, Father, exceed their expectations. And we finally ask, Lord, that your word that says the latter would always be greater than the former. We ask that by this time next year, when this program is coming up again, several testimonies would have abounded concerning the lives of the listeners and concerning the lives of even the facilitators. We soak ourselves in the blood of Jesus. We ask that your blood and your name will avail mightily concerning us.